604 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Getting you ready for your Monday show. Getting you ready to start the week off right as 53 degrees outside. I'll take it. Pollen's going to kill me, but I'll take it. Oh, man. Oh. So I'm a fight through it, man. You got all the pollen, like just killing the sinuses. Already, and then you got Gino REM and Paige Beckers just causing the waterworks yesterday. Oh. It is whew. All right, we got a big show lined up for you today. We are talking, we're going to talk AI this hour. Establishing public policy when it comes to AI. Where are we at in Louisiana? Nowhere, I guess is the answer there. But what approach should we be taking? I got the chance on Friday to talk with a state legislator from South Carolina who's kind of taking the ball and running with this there. His name is Jeff Bradley. He's a state representative. We're going to hear from him less than a half an hour from right now. Also on the show today, of course, we got Medical Monday. We're talking measles and Medical Monday with our folks, friends over at Our Lady of the Lake. Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson is going to join us from LABI at 7:35. We are talking about early childhood education, but from the business standpoint. We've got Kim Neal from LOPA. She is going to be talking about a donor hero at 8:05. Moon Griffon at 8:15, and then Betsy Thibaut Stephenson at 8:35. Author Betsy Thibaut Stephenson at 8:35. So stacked up show. We're kind of all over the map. I'm already running along here, so let's get into it. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5
takes us back to Friday, where oil company Chevron must pay at least $740 million to restore damage it caused to Southeast Louisiana's coastal wetlands. Jury came out with this verdict on Friday following a landmark trial more than a decade in the making. The case was the first of dozens of pending lawsuits to reach trial in Louisiana against the world's leading oil companies for their role in accelerating land loss along the state's rapidly disappearing coast. I'm grabbing this one from this version from the Daily Report, but I mean, basically it was on Friday. Everybody had it as it was as we were heading into the weekend. The verdict will likely be appealed. But the two main things here are, number one, we've actually seen a settlement in one of these things where coastal lawsuits have kind of become the family business within a number of different for a number of different attorneys. But number two, $740 million, I believe, was about less than a third of what was being asked for in the first place. So that was the big news coming down Friday, that the $740 million tagged on to Chevron.
Number 4.
Louisiana State Police hosted their inaugural crisis negotiation competition at Camp Beauregard in Pineville on Friday. Teams had to use their negotiation skills in real-world scenarios during the 6-hour-long contest. Baton Rouge Police Department took home second place.
Number 3.
If your morning commute has you taking the College Drive exit off of I-10 westbound, you will notice the new lanes are not yet in effect. DOTD announced Saturday that the rain was going to cause a delay. Part of the work included overnight concrete work that couldn't be done in the rain. Good news is that delay isn't that long. They should be open by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Number 2.
Baton Rouge had its hands-off rally at the state capitol Saturday. Turnout looked like it could have well eclipsed 100 folks made it out there expressing their displeasure with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge.
Number 1.
Mayor President Sid Edwards announced an agreement with St. George that the mayor says will, quote, provide stability for St. George, the city parish budget, and balancing resources. The agreement's to be introduced at the upcoming Metro Council meeting that'll be on April 9th. It is important to note the agreement does not address the date of incorporation, which would affect the amount of money that's owed to St. George.
Well, Elon Musk may be wearing out his welcome in the White House. Over the weekend, he took to Twitter to blast Peter Navarro, Trump's trade advisor, on tariffs.
Yeah.
Watch your step there.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Watch your step.
I don't know. He's gonna find out quickly how popularity could turn. And
yeah.
But here's the thing, though. There's gonna be a lot of people on his side as well. long
Of course,
term,
as always.
I don't think if he's going to do battle with the president, I don't think he's going to win. He just that's the president
I don't
has
see too many people siding with Elon over Trump. But then again,
no. Well, every economist out there would. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. You're going to find more economists that would push towards free trade than tariffed up trade, for sure. Countering tariffs with tariffs is not a de-escalation; it is an escalation. It's like the mutually assured destruction strategy of the Cold War. I mean, if I'll tariff you right back.
Right.
I'll tariff your tariff on top of a tariff.
Speaking of presidency, just how bad off was Joe Biden in the last year in office? Well, as more information comes out, it looks like at least 4 books by either former staffers or members of the media in the coming weeks, detailing where his mental acuity was and detailing his overall health. So, they're good, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
equal parts frustration here.
yeah.
Because at what point does the word complicit needs to be involved in a title somewhere that says we were all complicit in propping up a phony presidency? He was not the president, somebody else was. And I'm not the tinfoil hat guy, never have been. But man alive, to have this number of people coming out saying, no, we were all lying to the American public for well over a year. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have one of those authors on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows, huh?
Almost certainly.
Who knows?
Almost certainly.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, big news for Big Still. Former LSU star Sylvia Knowles has been named
Knowles.
Fowles.
There you go.
Fowles. Oh,
yeah.
My gosh. Has been named amongst the 2025 class of the WNBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that is good news for Big Still.
Yes.
We so she was here same time as Simone Augustus. And of course Simone's always going to be our heart because she's born and raised, but Big Still packed that PMAC a lot. That was those Final Four runs when they were both here were deserved. Yeah, very, very phenomenal. And she carried that on into the WNBA. Feel like Simone and Sil, they just missed that win. Like the WNBA is about to be a thing. I'm making this bold prediction. It's not going to be on the level of the NBA or on the level of the NFL, but you're seeing more and more personalities in women's basketball, and personalities create storylines, and like them or not, storylines create fandom. It's like you had the whole Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese thing, as if Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were ever head to head. But now look what you got going in this year. I mean, we're going to know and love Anissa Morrow. Paige Beckers is a generational personality for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said, hey, make storylines, fill seats, right? It's going to be
just
exactly. The past year,
you keep eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, incredible.
612 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we take our break, I remind you about the folks over at Vex European. That's V as in Vinny, Vex European. Check them online at vexeuropean.com. Celebrating their 10th anniversary. I have got to find time. I'm about 3 weeks overdue. I need to get over there for an oil change and just make sure everything's tip top right now. I drive a European vehicle, a 17-year-old European vehicle at that, which is why I choose to team up with Vinny and his team, is because I have a tech who knows Mercedes-Benz inside and out, which means at 17 years old, my vehicle's still running like it just came off the lot. I fully credit Vex for all of that because they know what they're doing. They make sure that everything that I've got going on with my car, I'm fully aware of. Even things that, if it's repair I can't afford to fix at the time, like just back burner this for right now. But this, and this have to get done. It's an amazingly open, like they're very open and honest with you from start to finish to make sure that your car is taken care of. The same way your doctor carries your chart, Vex European follows you and your car. Check them out online at vexeuropean.com. Oh, perfect. All right. How long is that Jeff Bradley interview? Okay, so we can run it all the way up to 50. Okay. Oh, I was thinking about it. Did you get the baseball cuts from Saturday? Sent from Taylor from Saturday. LSU Oklahoma game 3 highlights. I just sent them to you. All I want is the final call. And I don't know how long it runs there. I'll let you know when to cut it off. .618 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Got to move fast here. Some of this might spill over into our next segment. All right, LSU gymnastics moving on to the final. Well, NCAA semifinals in the championships. LSU gym posted up a 198.050 to top Michigan State, Kentucky, and Arkansas on Saturday. Between those three, the closest to them was Michigan State. How about this for not much separation? 198.050 to 198.000 for the Spartans. So LSU moves on. They are in the national semifinals. Baseball. How about a road sweep? You got it. Heading up to Norman, Oklahoma, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Here's how it came to an end on Saturday.
2-2 count here in the ninth. Cowan fires in the air to center field. Stanfield stops, gloves it. Tigers win. Tigers win. Complete sweep of Oklahoma here on the road in Norman with a dramatic finish. The final score, LSU 3, Oklahoma 2.
LSU moves to 30-3 on the season overall. They will actually, they're not coming home. They're not coming home. They will. Well, I'm sure they're coming home, but they're going to be on the road tomorrow evening at Nichols, 6 p.m. start time on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. After that, they are on the road again at Auburn. That's going to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series when they take on the Auburn Tigers before they'll come back home and play McNeese on April 15th. We'll recap softball and talk a little basketball right after this. We got the Fox Business Report at 6:20.
Speaking of gymnastics in the sports segment, I met 2 listeners, more so fans of the show yesterday, kind of on accident. Long story short, I was picking up something from Marketplace. The lady did her research because she didn't want to be like, she just didn't want some creep, I guess, showing up to her house. Then she sees like, oh, I see you work at Guarantee, and it's like, oh yeah, and it's like, and then her husband comes out, and we start talking. And they're like, yeah, we Guarantee we listen to Mornings with Brian Haldane on the way to work, Baton Rouge. And I was like, I'm Brian's producer, John. And they're like, oh, I thought it was JP. It's like, well, yeah, but when it's John. Anyway, and they're like,
What's crazy? I call you John every day.
Every day.
Rocco calls you JP once a month.
And
that's what sticks.
But everybody knows JP. Everybody knows JP. And it's like,
that's what sticks. Huh? All right.
And it was just funny. It was like, yeah, just after talking, they're like, oh man, we listen every morning on the way to work. It's like, oh, that's really cool. And they were like, well, my wife did gymnastics at LSU, and so we listen. He mentions like gymnastics and stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. He's like, I listen for
not nearly enough. What's his wife's name?
Allison.
What's the? Oh, do we know when did she do gymnastics? When was she a gymnast?
Oh, that I'm not too sure. Yeah. I was only there for a short time. I was there picking up a basketball goal. And so it's just
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, they're like, yeah, man, we listen to top stories and trending and stuff like that, and we'll mainly listen for like the sports and stuff in the morning. It's like, oh, cool.
It's crazy. They listen for sports when we have an entire sports station.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Walking out of church yesterday at 10:30 mass yesterday, I was a lector, so I did the first reading.
Yeah.
And guy comes up to me after church, and he goes, "Man, I don't know if anybody's ever told you this before, but you sound exactly like Brian Haldane."
No way.
It's like, well, there's reason for that.
I am he.
Oh
man, that's funny. Oh man.
Not too bad to start off your Monday on the interstates. We're not seeing any real volume back on 12 westbound by Denham Springs, which is where we normally see volume at this time. We will, however, see some volume on 12 westbound as you approach the 10-12 merge. It'll be in between Airline and the 10-12 merge. So in that Drusilla area right there, not nearly enough to make you even want to barely tap your brakes, much less change your route. 10 westbound's looking good coming in from Ascension. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge, also looking good. Surface streets, only 2 accidents to look out for right now. There's a hit and run. They both came in about 15 minutes ago. There's a hit and run that's been pushed off the road. Airline at Tom Drive. Doesn't say which direction, but it's off the road, so you should be fine. Now, there is an accident in the roadway, and this one doesn't say which direction either. Florida at Lobdell. BRPD is working both of these accidents right now, but you might want to be on the lookout for them. Florida at Lobdell is still in the roadway. That should look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. Coming up on 625, it is 625 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, as Mornings with Brian Haldane rolls right along. Don't forget the Dreams Come True Radiothon going on right now. Right now at talk1073.com. Every year we get the opportunity, the privilege, if you will, to team up with Becky and her team at Dreams Come True to grant dreams for local children battling life-threatening illnesses. If you've been a listener to this show or the station or any of our stations for any period of time, you know how much we value this relationship and how much we value the work that Becky and her team do. All the money stays local, and for children battling life-threatening illnesses and their families, don't overlook the family aspect of this. It is your donations are unbelievably appreciated. We're actually friends with a dream family in the Haldane house, where one of my son's friends has been in and out of St. Jude for golly, the overwhelming majority of his life. He's only 8, or he might have turned 9 already. But my son James, his buddy CJ, is a dream recipient, and it is because of folks like Becky and the work that she does that makes things like this possible, where the entire family can, let's say, take a vacation to Disney World, take a trip to go to an Astros game, whatever the dream is for the kid. And the family gets to enjoy it and just clock out for a minute and forget about the daily battle and just be together as a family and have some fun and really recharge those batteries to go back to fight the battle they've been fighting. Donate now at talk1073.com. All right, back to it. We were covering sports. We ran short on time, as happens on a Monday because, well, everything stacks up over the weekend. Beth Torina's Tigers moved to 34-5 in softball as they take 2 out of 3 from Alabama over the weekend. It started on Friday with an 8-0 run rule, 5 innings played. I produced that one. You want to talk about, as a producer, you sit down, you're ready to be there for 3 hours, and you're out in like an hour and a half. Boom. 5 innings, 8-0. It was just a picture perfect game. Saturday was a 2-1 win for the Tigers, and then Sunday they lose 8-5. Could not get the sweep, but do snag the series. Moved to 34-5 on the season. LSU will be at home on, I believe, Wednesday. Yep, Wednesday they host Louisiana Tech. 6 p.m. start time, 5:45 pregame. That'll be right here on Talk 107.3 FM. University of Connecticut, a.k.a. UConn, are your national champions in women's basketball. Paige Beckers and crew got it done yesterday, just annihilating South Carolina. This game was not close, was never close. Paige Beckers is the big name, but she was third in scoring for her team. Sarah Strong was unbelievable at 24 points. Azzi Fudd had 24 as well. Then Beckers had 17 on the way to an 82-59 victory. For South Carolina, it's been this way all year for South Carolina. They have a ton of people who score, but nobody who scores a whole lot. Your leading scorers for South Carolina were Joyce Edwards, who had 10, and Tessa Johnson, who had 10. So Dawn Staley falls short, but she is in that championship game once again. But Paige Beckers and the UConn Husky. Gino Auriemma, his 12th title. Just absolute dominance yesterday. Moving over on the men's side, it'll all be decided tonight as I get my page on, scoreboard on the right page. Saturday brought us the Final Four, and of course, Florida was a 79-73 winner over Auburn, and then shockingly, really shockingly, Houston pulls out a 70-67 win over Duke on just an unbelievable turnaround. Houston was down 14 in the second half. 14 in the second half. Unreal. Basketball at its absolute finest on Saturday. There's no way to not be impressed with that. So Florida will take on Houston tonight. We've got 1 minute until we meet up with news here at the bottom of the hour. I know I have coastal lawsuit settlement written down on my sheet here. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to push that back a little bit because I want to stay on time and make sure that everything's running smoothly this morning to start your week off right, because we got news, traffic, and weather coming your way in just a little bit. But just to kind of tease it a little bit, $740+ million settlement in the coastal lawsuit. Chevron's going to have to come out of pocket here. They are going to appeal it. Bottom line of this one is nobody's happy. Nobody's happy on either side. Now, I know they say that's the way you can know if there's a good compromise is if no one's happy. This time around, I don't know. It sets a bad precedent, as there are so many other lawsuits to be settled. So we'll talk about it later on the show. Right now, here comes ABC News and our local news, traffic, weather. We'll talk AI and public policy with Jeff Bradley next. Good morning, Christy. Yeah, well, make the product better. Don't try to affect the market. Don't try to affect. Oh, sorry, y'all have no idea what I'm talking about right now. There's going to be a bill in front of the legislature that wants to raise the amount going to tops, and it's Alabama's throwing money at LSU, at Louisiana students. Ole Miss, Arkansas, all of them are throwing money at Louisiana students. I can tell you there's close to a dozen students from Catholic High and St. Joseph's that are going to Southern Miss, not Ole Miss, not Mississippi State, Southern Miss. My daughter's among them, and it has nothing to do with cost and everything to do with all the other factors. We've ignored and neglected the universities that aren't LSU. And if you grow up in Baton Rouge and you want to spread your wings a little bit, you got to start looking elsewhere. Louisiana Tech probably would have been a good option, but my daughter's not going into engineering. And they've certainly got a reputation, a great reputation in engineering. But if you're not engineering, then what are we doing? And if we had been growing Northwestern State over the last decade, instead of funneling everybody into LSU with Topps money, it would be a much more viable option for her. Same thing with UL Monroe. I should have been taking Zyrtec for the last week now. Yeah, so I got back after church yesterday, and took a nap, and when I woke up from the nap, my eyes were just puffy.
Ooh,
So puffy.
that's the worst kind of nap. Waking up from a nap like that, and it's just you're
Puffy
worse
and
off than
runny,
you were
and
before.
I know.
Yeah. Ugh.
Galen says, love the UConn victory. Paige finally gets her championship. Yep. Oh, Louisiana may hike taxes on hemp and THC products and criminalize sales to underage customers. Oh, good. Eye on the ball, Louisiana. That's what's going to fix our economy. Banning soda for SNAP recipients. Oh, I actually see the value in that. Definitely a cooler start to your morning. Here's your full forecast from Emma Kate Cowan. No, Byron, I did not imply that the only good programs at Tech are engineering related. I didn't imply anything. I said straight up their reputation is engineering. That's what they're known for. I have no idea what else they do. What up? What when they ripped out the cabinets and put in cabinets? It looks great. I don't know. I know, right? Let's all. It's time to talk AI as we're seeing it more and more in the workplace. We're seeing it more and more in the classroom. We're seeing it more and more in our personal lives as well. But who's building out the guardrails here? Who's making sure we can use it the right way, the wrong way? What defines the right way and the wrong way? Well, over in South Carolina, they've built out a lot of AI policy without a whole lot of regulation around it. Jeff Bradley is a state representative from South Carolina. He joins us now. Jeff, how are you this morning?
I'm wonderful, Brian. Thank you very much. Hope you're well today.
Doing very well as well. So let's talk about this. It's kind of the wild, wild west, but on the internet front. What's South Carolina doing to set up an infrastructure, making sure that we're maximizing our uses of AI?
Well, thank you for that question, Brian. In South Carolina, I am the chairman of the AI committee, which was the first in the nation designed specifically as a standing committee to address the issues of AI. And we've been working on policy in South Carolina. And the primary issue that we're focused on is allowing AI to be an innovative technology and to grow unfettered by government regulation. So we're working real hard to try and protect the nature of technology and innovation in South Carolina. We're trying to embed that in our education efforts, which are now starting at the elementary level and moving on into the 9th through 12th grade. and beyond. And in addition to that, we're doing a number of things in partnership with the research universities in the state as well as business throughout the state.
Okay, so let's start on the education front there, because I think that's where we have the most potential for things just going wrong, if you will. Because one of the biggest problems with AI right now is that garbage in is garbage out, right? It can only work off of the information that currently exists. What have y'all set up to keep? Let's start with the K through 12 end. What have y'all set up to make sure that everything is staying in bounds?
Well, there is an organization called the Southern Regional Education Board that is, we've hired them to help craft out a 9th grade through 12th grade 4-year program for high schoolers to do AI. So it's a curriculum for AI for 9th graders through 12th graders. We're starting in 26 schools this fall, and we hope to roll it out completely in the fall of 26 for the 26-27 year. In addition to that, I had taken on the floor of the house with me a small robot that an organization in Columbia, South Carolina, had created to teach K through 5th graders all kinds of stuff. So it has the little robot goes in the classroom and then works with the young people to keep them focused and directed in math and science. At the same time, we've got a virtual reality AI-driven mask that we're using for 7th and 8th graders that we're just about to implement this year. Well, I guess coming in the fall, we've got another pilot program for that. That's actually pretty cool, because what we found is that one's understanding of Algebra 1 has tremendous bearing on their economic success in life. So we're focused on that with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. It's all pretty interesting stuff, Brian.
Okay, so I love that you're starting off with math, because normally when you talk AI in the classroom, everybody's fear is that like students are using it to cheat in English class. This
Right.
is really flipping the script, if you will, to talk about utilizing it as a tool and not something to be feared.
Well, I can't articulate for you how accurate that statement is with what we're doing in South Carolina. We're looking at it as if you handed a carpenter a skill saw and he'd never had access to a skill saw, all he'd had was a hand saw, that tool alone would make him so much more productive. And we see AI the same way, Brian. It's a tool. It's nothing more than a tool. And we are going to work very hard, and we're going to put a lot of energy and money and resources in the state of South Carolina into educating our citizenry so that they are protected from the changes that occur as AI develops out. We don't want people losing their jobs because they don't do AI. Right. And I'm not worried about AI taking jobs. I'm worried about people that don't know how to use AI lose their jobs to people that do know how to use AI.
Okay, now we're walking up to the sweet spot where I think we're going to see some battles between, I don't want to say between right and left, but between those who are willing to embrace the future and those who aren't. The tough part from your end, if I'm hearing you right, the tough part on a legislator's end is how do you write laws? How do you write regulations that make sure everybody can still, have room to run here while at the same time keeping this as a controlled burn?
That too is a great question, Brian. And for us, we started out our policy journey with a conversation with the Chief Justice of our Supreme Court. We met with him and asked him to help us craft the way we ought to think about this. And he said, you know what? You guys ought to spend less time worrying about day-to-day stuff and just worry about crafting legislation initially about the criminality that's out there and let the rest of it go. The criminality are things like election engineering, deep fake pornography, the morphing of images of children on the internet, and scam stuff. So that is where we're focused in South Carolina right now. In the meantime, we want to allow the innovators to innovate. we perceive it as being particularly burdensome for the developers of AI to have to address 50 different sets of regulations and rules and legislation in each one of the 50 states. So we're not adding to that burden. We want the developers to innovate. We want to give culture a chance to dictate where we need to spend our efforts. The thing is, Brian, and I, with all due respect to all 7,500 legislators at the state level across the country, we really don't know enough about it to craft legislation that is probably correctly effective. I do know that there was an issue in California last year where they were really attempting to control what the developers did with this. And even Gavin Newsom, as liberal as he is, recognized that they had gone too far in the state of California to try and regulate the developers of AI stuff. So they backed off of that. I forget the number of that bill, but yeah, we want to stay away from that kind of stuff. We want to give innovators a chance to innovate, because that's where the transformative gains will come from. And we're in lockstep with the Trump administration on this, which is to basically stay out of the way. We'll figure out where to legislate as time goes by.
Why? How much of this? Okay, this is going to sound like an odd question because it's going to vary from state to state. But how much of this is laws that are already on the books? If someone is using AI to commit a crime, it's not the AI that's the crime. The crime is elsewhere. So, as a legislator, you have to be able to point out the difference in saying, no, there are already laws that prevent people from doing these things.
Yeah, well, we had a long discussion on a piece of legislation just yesterday in South Carolina on this was an image morphing situation, and there are some real sticky wickets even in the work that we did yesterday. There are some personal liberty issues that came up that I think the crafters of the bill did not really understand before they had gotten into it. But we worked through some of that. We ended up passing the legislation yesterday, at least out of the South Carolina House of Representatives. It goes to the Senate now. We'll see what happens.
We're talking AI with Jeff Bradley. He's a state representative from South Carolina. Jeff, I know we're covering a whole lot all at once here. We talked about education. I would assume in the workforce, this is a matter of the marketplace will take over for a lot of it as to where folks want to implement things. What about on the state level? What are y'all doing to use AI advancements through public service as well?
Well, that's actually where we are. So we're going down the education path, we're going down the workforce development path, and we're going down the government agency path. And so for what you're asking about the government agency path, we're looking for about four things. We're looking for efficiency gains. We're looking for cost savings. We're looking for a better customer experience. By that, I mean citizen experience. And then we're looking at how can we improve the job of the state employees so that they are stickier to the agency. They're stickier to the state of South Carolina. They don't leave. We don't have to replace them. We don't have to retrain, which kind of goes back into the cost savings world. But we are this week, I had a great meeting with one of the largest data center providers in the country and the world. Actually, this guy was training ChatGPT on his product, and we are working with them, and we are at the early stage of pursuing creating, and I don't want to go geek out on you here, Brian, but they're called domain specific language models. A lot of your listeners may have heard of these large language models like a ChatGPT. The problem with that is it's all public information. We have to be careful. We don't want our public information to go, we don't want our proprietary information at the state level to go into the public domain. So we create these small language models, these domain-specific language models for each agency, and then we'll be able to apply AI to them, and we're looking for efficiency gains, cost savings, process management, and things like that. I could go on forever, but I'm sure your listeners don't want to get into that level of detail.
Right, and it's all fascinating stuff right now. We got just about a minute or so left. with Jeff Bradley, state representative from South Carolina, kind of taking a look at what they're doing to build the world around it, build an ecosystem around AI. Jeff, if I get just a quick recap and takeaway from the overall conversation here, whether you're talking about usage in the classroom, usage in workforce development, or usage in public service, when it comes to AI, give me just a quick 60-second recap of what the overall guidelines should be. Like, what should lawmakers have in mind when bills come up or ideas come up to create laws surrounding this?
Brian, I think the trick from the legislative perspective is to foster an environment where your citizen participants in the field have a clean playing field, so that they can make it easy for people to learn AI, make it easy for businesses to use AI, make it easy for the state government to use AI. And I think that's where the key is. We're looking for a lot of partnerships in South Carolina, partnerships between the state and the research universities and business and education. The education thing that I talked about earlier, the fourth year, the senior year, when the kids are in 12th grade, they all actually go to businesses and work in AI related fields in those businesses. And it's really pretty slick stuff. And we're very excited. We're very encouraged by what transformational gains the state can get out of the use of AI.
I know the conversation's been kind of all over the place, but AI is what's next. And we've been saying it repeatedly. If you don't use it, you lose to it. So the more conversation we can have, the better. Man, hopefully you're up for another phone call as this continues to evolve as a topic. He is Jeff Bradley. Thank you so much.
Okay, Brian.
It's okay because I got to squeeze in a live read from a Thurns anyway. So. Yeah, of course. Oh, that was a lot. A lot of information. DJ'd the kidney walk on Saturday morning. I need more of those gigs. So they're low pressure gigs. They don't pay, but they're low pressure gigs.
Yeah.
It's like, what else am I doing on a Saturday morning except playing? Like, I got this whole, like, it's a different kind of set list because you're not looking to get people dancing until after the race is over with. Then you're playing like 4 or 5 line dances. But like, it's not every gig I get to like just spin like mellow tunes. Like, what's the name of it now? It's Luther Vandross.
Spinning some Luther out there.
Spinning Luther, Frankie Beverly and May, little Teddy Pendergrass. Like, it's a. Oh, if there were a set list for the cookout, this would be it. This would be it.
Yeah.
But there's never gonna be a day where there's never a day where my white ass is on the 1s and 2s for the cookout. But the music is on point.
The music is yeah.
What's the name of that song? Damn it! It's gonna kill me. I play it every time. If you're in a park, and it's before noon, it's like perfect.
Yeah.
Never enough, never too much.
Never too much, huh?
Yeah.
Some good stuff.
Yeah. This one. I mean, that's waking up, stretching it out, right? Boom, 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 boom. And I love the video. It was like the Sony Walkman just came out type of video. Because like everybody's got the headphones on, they're bebopping it on the street and whatnot.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
That's it. All right. In the bumper mix? You're playing that over here. No, you're not. You're playing that shit over here.
Art of listening, man.
There you go. 656 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. ABC News coming your way about 4.5 minutes from right now. And thanks again to Jeff Bradley for a little time. That was a pre-recorded interview. We sat down on Friday to get that done. But as we're a week away from the legislative session, I'm a little behind on digging through bills for the legislative session. I'll be honest on that front. Because so many of them came in on Friday. A lot of legal reform coming your way, folks. A lot of really good legal reform. Some bad, but a lot of good legal reform coming your way. Also, just want to make sure we're out in front on this. I'm trying to get a hold of State Senator Patrick McMath. He wants to get rid of some dyes and additives in the school lunch program. We had I don't know if I want to reach out to Big Mike Fazy. But he wants to make sure that we're not controlling the weather with chemicals. That's a bill. That's pre-filed legislation. Whole lot going on, and we're only a week away. Meanwhile, you heard the story from our news partners at the Louisiana Radio Network. Opinions are divided over the reciprocal tariffs that Donald Trump has got out there. That our president's pushing forward with, and we learned a lot more about them last week on Liberation Day. But how will this affect our U.S. economy? Well, Deck Terrell is who LRN spoke with. He's an economics professor over at LSU. He says what the attempt here is to produce two outcomes: increase manufacturing in the U.S. and leverage for future trade negotiations with other countries.
So I think that would be the idea of what's going on here, is to try to level the playing field in terms of tariffs by initiating negotiations.
But you're not leveling the playing field in the right direction. And I agree with Professor Terrell right there. That's the attempt here. But when you're adding tariffs on tariffs, you're not lessening the burden on anybody. It goes in the opposite direction of a free market. Terrell says the biggest cause for concern is that increase in prices on goods, citing efforts to revitalize U.S. manufacturing. And now what you will see here, and Terrell mentions this, is 2 weeks ago we had that announcement about Hyundai building on a $5.8 billion plant along the Mississippi River in Donaldsonville, and you'll see those results as well.
Which is good news for Louisiana, but it also might slightly increase the cost of producing steel if we produce more in the U.S.
But what we're looking at there is we have that capability. We've already got that weapon in our arsenal. There are different areas where we don't have the weapon in our arsenal. I'll give you a perfect example. Shoes. How many shoes are made in America? We're going to have a tariff on something that 90% of the inventory in the U.S. comes from out of the U.S., which is something we don't do. So we're slapping, because the tariffs are blanket, because they're widespread, we're slapping a tariff on something that we don't build here anyway. So all we've done is increased our own cost to buy. Unless somebody like wildly, not expanding their current business, but wants to dive into the business overall. By the way, if a full-blown trade war does break out, Terrell emphasizes the importance of short-term economic negotiations to hopefully stem off long-term, well, to maximize long-term gains.
The portion that's for negotiations needs to be settled fairly quickly to avoid pushing the economy toward a recession.
Big thing here is, how do you balance announcements like a $5.8 billion plant that's going to mean jobs in Louisiana versus the day-to-day tradings on the stock market? Hour 2 is next. Oh. All right. What is your second trending story? Throw it out. Throw it out.
Okay.
Rock the Country was over the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that is big news, Eric. Now, if we get that same word from Vietnam, things would be great. Bro. Galen, thank you, man. All right. All right. So to answer your question, Galen, no, we don't. And I don't know how you would fold it into. All right. So no, we don't have an AI committee, a cyber security committee, or a cyber crime committee. And I don't know, like we don't even have a technology committee. See, that's good news. $7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way. All right, now, Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. We are starting off your second hour at 53 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We are stacked up, locked and loaded for the rest of the show. We got Medical Monday coming your way in our next segment. We'll be talking measles. We've got Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson stopping by from LABI at 7:35. Going to be talking about, actually, there's a stack of topics here. Looking at streamlining DOTD, looking at early childhood education. We got a lot to cover with Mary Beth, but that's later on this hour. Right now, let's start off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Number 5 takes us back to Friday, and I'm not going to find it there. Give me one quick second. Number 5 takes us back to Friday. Let me go back to the daily report to get this version of the story. Oil company Chevron's going to have to pay at least $740 million to restore damage it caused to Southeast Louisiana's coastal wetlands. A jury on Friday ruled this following a landmark trial more than a decade in the making. This is one of many, many coastal lawsuits that are out there and pending. Neither side in this trial is super duper happy about it. It is being appealed.
Number 4.
Louisiana State Police hosted their inaugural crisis negotiation competition at Camp Beauregard in Pineville on Friday. Teams had to use their negotiation skills in real-world scenarios during the 6-hour contest. Baton Rouge Police Department came in second place. If you're curious, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office came in first.
Number 3.
If your morning commute has you taking the College Drive exit off of I-10 westbound, you're going to notice that the new lanes are not yet in effect. DOTD announced Saturday rain was going to cause a delay. Part of the work included overnight concrete work that could not be done in the rain. Good news is the delay wasn't that long. They should open or be open by 5 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Number 2.
Baton Rouge had its own hands-off rally Saturday at the state capitol. I'm sure you saw these popping up all over the country. Turnout looked like it could have well eclipsed 100 folks out on the steps of the state capitol. Those folks, of course, expressing their displeasure with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge, and, showing off their creativity in their homemade signs.
Number 1.
Mayor President Sid Edwards announced an agreement with St. George that Edwards says will, quote, provide stability for St. George, for the city parish budget, and for balancing allocation of resources. The agreement is to be introduced at this coming Wednesday night's Metro Council meeting. It is important to note that the agreement does not address the date of incorporation, which would address how much money Baton Rouge owes St. George. What's trending, John?
Elon Musk, that's who's trending.
Oh, yeah.
Because he may be wearing out his welcome in the White House. Over the weekend, he took to Twitter to blast Peter Navarro, Trump's trade advisor, on tariffs, of all things.
Yeah. If you're Elon Musk, you're probably one that wants just wide open free trade. Don't escalate things, knock it all the way down to zero. And if you're Donald Trump, what you're trying to do here, well, we talked about it in the last segment, what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's two entirely different battles. So Musk and Navarro are having two entirely different conversations and obviously not meeting on the same front. Now, I wonder how that's going to affect the overall relationship, though, because Elon Musk wasn't brought in to talk tariffs. That's not what he's here for. So,
and that's what we were saying. Just stay in your lane, watch your step.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
back off a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if that's how Donald Trump handles this. You stay in your lane, ex-boy.
In other news, Rock the Country was over the weekend in Livingston. So,
A couple things.
yeah.
I've heard so many mixed reviews about this.
Really?
The biggest complaint I heard was the traffic, because there's one way in, one way out, right?
Yeah.
Well, and also they didn't open up the gates early enough. So like if people were getting there at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and they just had to sit there till gates opened at 1.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all the cars are backing up and it's Livingston Parish. So you don't have the infrastructure and it's not like, I'm not making fun of Livingston Parish, but you don't have the infrastructure for a major concert or a major festival like this. That was one of the takeaways, was traffic was a nightmare on Friday. Another major takeaway was, and this was one of the reasons why I love living here. Yeah. So much mud on Saturday night when the rain started coming through.
Yeah.
Getting RVs out of there.
Oof.
So a number of RVs would like get stuck. But it's Livingston Parish.
Yeah, you're not gonna be stuck for long.
No, because you got a group of good old boys with the 4-wheel drive trucks just hooking you up. And this is like their day in the sun. They're in their own truck month commercial at this point.
That's it. Yeah.
There's a lot of,
and they're hyped. They just got done listening to Skinner. They're like,
that's right.
Let's go.
I got you, Hoss.
You stuck?
You heard the name Hoss a lot.
Oh yeah.
I got you.
Got you.
Hooking it up. Hooking the 4-wheel drive truck up to the RV, pulling them out of living their best life.
That's it. This is the moments they live for. Too.
I know.
And those souped up trucks, like, please give me a reason.
You give me yeah. That's why I bought this dually.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we can rewind it back to Friday night. I had no idea there were that many Nickelback fans.
Nickelback gets a lot of hate, but you know what, man? They put on a really great show. Really great show. And heavy, too. Heavy.
Are you a Nickelback fan?
Some songs, yeah. I wouldn't call myself a fan, but if the hits are on, I'm listening. I'm not going anywhere.
So
you got me.
Apparently, everyone who sat in that chair is on board.
Really?
Because both Taylor and Alondra were at the concert, taking pics, posting them on Facebook, posting them on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're specifically for Nickelback.
Really? Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Kid Rock was there, mixing up a little,
we got
country.
Kid Rock last year, though. So this is the second Rock to come.
Yeah.
We did it last year at the Lamar Dixon over in Gonzales. And
my buddy Albert said Leonard Skinner, though, man. Seeing that was just, you don't know when you're going to see that again. Like that,
Yeah.
These guys are killing it. You know who else is killing it? Some big news here for Big Sil. Former LSU star Sylvia Fowles has been added to the 2025 class of the WNBA Hall of Fame.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And she needs a little more local recognition, a little more love here at LSU. I don't know how to give her more love. We all love her. Like it was her. I mean, it was Simone and Sil. And
flowers for sure.
Yeah. But now we're seeing this new generation come through in the WNBA.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. To where you're adding, like, Simone and Sil were awesome on the court, but they didn't get enough attention off the court. They didn't get enough of who they are. What we're seeing now with the media coverage of women's college basketball right now, we're getting the characters, we're getting the storylines, we're getting the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reeses that are already in the WNBA now, and you can add Paige Beckers to that mix, and you can add USC Tori ACL, USC Tori Juju. What's Juju's last? How many brick on her last name? I know,
but that's what
it's the allergies in the brain cloud. I know, fog, whatever.
But that's what people are here for.
I know.
They want it. And
characters build storylines. Storylines keep eyeballs on your product, and that's where the WNBA is headed. It's never going to be to the level of the NFL or the men's NBA, but it's definitely going to be more popular than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say it has been an improvement, though.
Yep. 713 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we take our first break of the hour, got to remind you about the folks at Mathern's. If you have not downloaded the Mathern's Rewards app, you need to. I'm going to tell you why. Three reasons why. Number one, they're downtown. If you are, and they're a staple downtown, have been for some time now. But if you work downtown, if you live downtown, if you play downtown, Mathern's is there for you with a full service grocery store. Lunch counters in there, fantastic salad bars in there. They've got you covered on that front, but they've got you covered with a full service grocery store. So if you get the Mathern's Rewards app, you would know that this week boneless pork chops are $2.49 a pound. You would know that 80/20 lean ground beef is $3.99 a pound. Fresh strawberries at $2.99 a pound. Ground turkey breast $4.99 a pound. All these deals are right there in the app as soon as you download it, and they're good at all 3 locations. The second location, of course, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, off of Nicholson Drive, directly across the street from Tiger Stadium. And then Highland Road, they're back in the OG location, Highland Road, just west of Kenilworth Boulevard. Download the app today from Mathern's. We were running long. I didn't get to do the other trending story I was going to add in there.
Oh, you had another one?
Yeah, I was going to throw one more in. The Baton Rouge Zydeco are in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. I saw that yesterday. That's pretty cool. Oh, next guest calling in, right?
Should be.
And who is it?
Annie Contreras. There she is. Okay, good.
Studio. Yes, ma'am. Yep, we'll have her on here in less than a minute. All right. Thank you so much. I'll put you on hold. Thank you.
Debbie says, I'm disappointed the women's championship game not televised at prime time. They're not there yet, Debbie. They're not there yet. They're getting close. The fact that it was on both ABC and I believe it was on both ABC and ESPN, right? That's kind of big. And it's Sunday. So think about it this way. Winner most NFL games. Noon on Sunday. That's what you're going to have a bigger audience there. So I'm happy with where they are. They're not done yet, but I'm happy with where they are. And I'm a huge fan and proponent of the sport. Like, I believe is one sport where you have that nice crossover of the women's game is different from the men's game, and once you appreciate what the women's game is, it's translatable to an actual watching audience. I wish softball was more translatable.
Hey, do you want me to bump and then go to Medical Monday, or just go straight Medical
Monday? Straight to Medical Monday.
Okay.
No bump. Just the Medical Monday bump is the bump.
Just want to double check.
Yes, it's time for Medical Monday, and this week we're actually sticking pretty close to the headlines because we're talking measles. We've got Dr. Annie Contreras with us. Dr. Contreras, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3 FM. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Very good, very good. What about you?
Doing well on this end as well. So actually, measles have been in the news a good bit lately. So let's clear the slate and start with the basics. What is measles, and how do measles spread?
Sure. Well, measles is a highly contagious viral infection. This is spread through the respiratory droplets, right? Basically, your respiratory secretions, and this can spread very quickly between unvaccinated individuals. And just to give you some numbers, according to the CDC, 90% of unvaccinated individuals that are exposed to the virus will become infected. So this is very, very highly contagious.
Well, so, I mean, like I said, that with the news stories lately, we're seeing that measles are on the rise again in some parts of the country. Why?
Yes. So, well, the current outbreak started like in West Texas and east side of New Mexico. And then we are currently have 607 confirmed measles cases. So, and from those, I want to emphasize 97% are unvaccinated and 70% of those patients are children. So at this point, this is an illness that basically affects the unvaccinated children.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going on is just basically we're seeing this increase in vaccine hesitancy. And now diseases that used to be, in the past, that we haven't seen in the past for a while, are coming back.
We're talking with Dr. Annie Contreras. This is Medical Monday, presented by the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake. So let's talk about early symptoms here. How can folks tell if their child might have it?
Yes, so they will start with very high fever, as high as 104. They can start also having runny nose, cough, and this, pink eye or conjunctivitis.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 to 5 days later, they will start developing this rash that starts in the face and spreads to the rest of their body. It's a rash what makes the parents very concerned. It's not dangerous itself, but it's pretty, important rash. So the kids are also very sick appearing. They are tired, they don't want to play, they're very fussy. And then I guess also the problem is that what makes it challenging with the measles is that people get concerned when they see the rash, when actually they were contagious 4 days prior to the rash started and 4 days afterwards. So the kids or the people who was in contact with this person who is now with illness
mm-hmm.
Has been spreading the disease all this time because people thought, maybe it was something else, like a very bad cold or something like that.
We have seen in this current outbreak, I believe we've seen 2 deaths thus far. So I hesitate to even ask how serious measles can be if left untreated. But, how frequent would a death be? And if not death, what are the other complications?
Yes. So if we want to talk about the death, that's a very important point. So actually the fatality rate, that means how many people are expected to die from this illness, is 1 every 1,000 cases. And actually right now, the fatality rate in the United States is higher, as we have 2 confirmed deaths
mm-hmm.
as of now with 607 cases. So that's something that, it has to increase the awareness. If we don't go over there, people who get measles in the initial complications will be, like any other viruses, get like maybe dehydrated because they don't want to eat, they don't want to drink. Having secondary bacterial infections, that means that they can also need antibiotics because they have on top of that any other like bacterial infections. But the virus itself can cause like ear infections, pneumonia, and something that we call acute encephalitis, which is the acute inflammation of your brain. And of course, if it gets, very complicated, it can be fatal, as we already discussed.
We're talking measles with Dr. Annie Contreras from Our Lady of the Lake as part of our Medical Monday segment. Let's pivot the conversation over to the vaccines here. The role of vaccination. You mentioned about how this is basically those that have it right now, the percentages are overwhelming that they're unvaccinated. So let's talk about how important the MMR vaccine is.
Yes, sure. So, the role of vaccination in every vaccine-preventable disease is basically to contribute to something that we call herd immunity, and I want to explain this. The herd immunity is basically how many people we need to vaccinate in order to protect others who cannot be vaccinated. And that number or percentage needs to be at least 95%. And we have seen a decrease in that number just because we are seeing an increase on vaccine hesitancy. So what happened with MMR is this is a vaccine that even after the first dose, we confer a 93% of protection. And then after the second dose, will protect in the 97%. So basically, vaccinating is the best way to avoid getting the illness.
That being said, what age are we looking at? When should children receive the vaccine?
Yes, the first dose in the routine schedule is at 1 year of age, and then the second dose will be at 4 birthday, around the pre-K area. And we can go even as early as 6 months if people need to, travel outside of the United States where other places where measles can happen as well. Or even if we are in an outbreak situation, we can go as early as 6 months. But at this moment, that is not the recommendation. The recommendation keeps being just 1 year and 4 years of age.
The we can get as low as 6 months out. If I don't know how to ask this the right way, why wouldn't that just be the recommended then?
Yes, because usually we want them to get vaccinated at the 1 year to increase the response to the vaccine, to make sure that the vaccine actually create antibodies. The way in which we do it early is just to protect, at least given 93% of protection while they are getting exposed, and that means specific situations like traveling outside of the United States, or when we are seeing a very big outbreak, which at the moment, thankfully, that's not the case yet. But we could do that in any ways that kid needs to be vaccinated again at 1 year, so we make sure that they actually develop antibodies.
Let's go back to diagnosis real quick. How do doctors diagnose measles? And once it's diagnosed, what does treatment look like?
Yes. So in terms of the diagnosis, for us, the clinical manifestations, right? And the patient explained to us how everything started, and then the timing of the rash and how the rash spreads is something important. But also what makes them more suspicious is basically the known exposure to someone that they know that have measles, or if they travel to an area where the outbreak is ongoing. And the second thing that we could do, just, to make sure, is to do a PCR testing. It's a test that resembles very much to COVID in terms of like the sample is also in the nose, and the test has the same technology, and we can have results between 1 to 3 days. In terms of treatment, so initially is supportive care, as of any viruses, fluids, Tylenol motion for fevers, oxygen if they need to be admitted to the hospital for pneumonia, for example. But there is also a recommendation to use vitamin A. And I want to emphasize this is not an antiviral. This is not a therapy specific against measles, but it has proven to decrease the severity of the disease. Mm-hmm. So that's the recommendation in case anyone gets sick with measles as well.
Okay, as a follow-up, I gotta ask, the test itself takes 1 to 3 days, but you'd said earlier that you're probably in the contagious stage the 4 days prior to showing the actual symptoms. So within that window, should you just act as if you've got it? Should you be acting as if it's a positive? And if so, when does the treatment actually start?
Yes, sir. So basically, as soon as we get the suspicions and we are testing that patient should be, be at home, avoid the exposures to others and the crowded places, and just continue to follow up with their primary care in terms of like symptoms for any complications, and we start the treatment with the vitamin A, and also, the rest is just supportive care at home. Mm-hmm. So yes, at that moment, we're thinking you are positive until otherwise is proven.
All right, now let's rewind the clock back to the part where the parent first suspects their child has measles. What's the first thing they need to do?
Yes. First of all, do their best to stop the possible spread, okay? Avoid school settings, crowded places, and exposing others. Communicate with your healthcare worker. This is very important. Communicate with them specifically about this concern so we can find our way in the clinic to get your kid in and evaluated without exposing others or minimize the exposure to others. Remember, like, for example, in pediatric clinics, there are kids that most of them are less than 1 year old. They cannot be vaccinated. And so we try to avoid the exposure to them, and so everybody gets evaluated in a safe way. And then after, you get either already diagnosed or we have the highly suspicion, just follow up with the provider in terms of management, how the kid's doing, and vigilant of any signs of complications. We will be explaining the visit.
Last one before we get you out of here, and that's about follow-up. If our listeners have questions or want to schedule a visit, where can they go?
Sure. I'm currently located in the office at Denham Springs, in the pediatric Our Lady of the Lake office. Or, if you get any questions and you can email them to me, I will be happy to answer them.
And the phone number for that office in Denham Springs, 765-5500. She is Dr. Annie Contreras. I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
You too. Medical Monday, of course, presented by the folks over at Our Lady of the Lake. OLOL is a fantastic partner, bringing you a different topic every single week concerning your health. And this one definitely crossing the streams there with stories that have been in the news as recently as this morning. So I greatly, greatly appreciate her time. All right, we're at 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. Take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk everything from early childhood education to DOTD and economic development, everything. It's coming up next with Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from LABI next. I've asked before. There's notes. Pyong. Oh. Oh, I had a total cheat day yesterday, and I hate it.
How was that?
Oh, hate it. Had donuts after church and had canes for dinner.
Oof.
I know, and didn't get in any run or anything to keep my metabolism up. I didn't do anything active yesterday. Got started on my taxes. That's about it.
Yeah. Man. Oh yeah, especially if you're maintaining it all week and you get that day of
I know.
You think it's just pure freedom, but then you just feel like crap after.
I do. I feel like absolute dog shit afterwards. I had a cream donut and a boudin kolache, and then canes for dinner, which grease just here it makes me feel awful.
Oh yeah.
And I'll probably have a smoothie for lunch.
Yeah.
And a deep water fish with a vegetable for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably feel a little more right after that, but
oh yeah.
Had a fantastic dinner on Saturday night.
Right.
In fact, I gotta remember. We need to find time to do shout outs. I don't know when and I don't know how to squeeze this in, but I've got so many different, like, just random shit in my life that I want to, like,
Yeah.
for example, I bought a new suit at the Dirty Dillards in Slidell.
Yeah, you were talking about that Friday.
Yeah. Well, I took
Nice.
it to Golden Needle.
Yeah.
Turns out the guy's a listener, which
Nice.
love that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Mr. Vu, I think his name is. I might be wrong on his name.
That's cool.
I don't want to say his name because I don't know it for sure. But
Right.
but he couldn't be more of a like.
Nice.
If you recognize me by my voice when I walk in your business, it's like you're pretty fucking dialed in.
Oh yeah.
But did such a great job, and it's like you walk into like a Dirty Dillard's, like a discount, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if you see something you like, it's 1 in 1,000 shot to begin with.
Oh yeah.
And the odds of that actually, getting fitted the right way and tailored and adjusted on the back end without bringing the cost back up to what a new suit would have cost you in the first place.
Oh man.
So
The Golden Needle, is that the one in Denham, or do they have one out here?
Mm.
I know there's one in Denham, but I didn't know.
Florida Boulevard, just east of Maryland.
Okay.
I believe the shopping center is called Orleans Plaza.
Oh, nice.
It's a French Quarter looking building. It's kind of on an angle to the road.
Yeah.
But it's in between Florida and Sharp. His name is Danny. Renee. His name is Danny. Are we talking about the same guy? From Golden Needle? So Christy told me he's a Mercy parishioner, which is why we had my daughter's one of the 1,000 dresses we had to buy for Carrie was adjusted and tailored over there. Oh, we've used them for years. Okay. All right. Mr. Danny. Little guy. Well, he's Asian. I mean,
Right.
look. It's not Yao Ming. I'm sorry. Time to get a look at your forecast as we're starting off a little cooler on Monday morning. Here's a McCade Cowan. Is it the same guy? Is it the same family? Matt likes the one in Denham. All right. Hi, TJ. Yep, for 805. Yep, good deal. Hey, I'll be coming back in just a second. Not related. .737 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Oh, we got so much ground to cover with only a week to go until the legislative session. Every Monday at this time, we welcome the folks in from the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. This week, we've got Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson with us. Good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm having trouble narrowing down what we're going to cover over the next 12 minutes because you've got so much that you've got your eyes on. Can we start with transportation? Can we start with like a little streamlining of DOTD?
Definitely. So this is one of our top priorities as well as the administration's. Brian, I mean, I know it's no secret that you travel to any corner of the state and you see roads that need repairing and construction projects ongoing. And so this is obvious that this is a huge priority for our members. But a lot of folks like to talk about, well, DOTD doesn't have enough funds and we get so much money from the feds, probably more than any other state in the country. But why do we have a $19 billion backlog in projects? And so the funding obviously is a key piece of DOTD. But the other side of the coin is the disorganization and lack of efficiency and transparency of the department. And so we were honored to be part of the early conversations from LC4. As I'm sure your audience remembers, the governor tasked LC4, which is the Louisiana Coalition to Fix Our Roads, to come up with a plan for DOTD restructure. And so they brought in a company called Boston Consulting Group, and they came down, they interviewed all kinds of stakeholders, industry members, and we were very happy to be a part of that because obviously we represent members from all across the state. And so we were a part of those conversations. And then I think in the fall, BCG released that report. So I think this session, you're going to see a lot of effort to put a lot of those recommendations in place.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's very simple. It's just, why are certain people reporting to certain supervisors? There's just a lot of inefficiency. And it's like, we just need to kind of straighten it out. I like to think about, when you take your Christmas lights out for the first time, when you're putting up Christmas decorations and it's just like a pain to untangle everything.
Oh, yeah.
This is our plan is to untangle everything at DOTD. So Chairman Ryan Boriak and Chairman Senator Connick have done an awesome job in just hitting the ground running. Friday was the filing deadline for bills, and we have so many coming in, but 3 huge bills by Representative Ryan Boriak that will restructure the department, among other things. And so Senator Cameron Henry, I was at an event on Friday, and he said, this isn't against anyone who works at DOTD. It's just a matter of streamlining and making the department as efficient as it can be.
No, 100%. You're not looking to demonize anybody who's been on the job. They're working hard. They might not be working smart.
Right, exactly. So work smarter, not harder, is what we say.
Yeah, absolutely. So within those 3, you described as 3 huge bills. Will those 3 get it covered, or are we going to have, is this looking just the opening of, I don't want to say a Pandora's box, but definitely, layers of an onion here where we're going to find there's more and more?
I definitely think this is a very comprehensive effort. And so I think Representative Boriak would say that they have covered all of their bases in these bills. And sure, as the process goes along, we might find that kinks need to be worked out and so on. But I think that this is a great start, and this is a pretty comprehensive effort to reorganize the department. And so we're looking forward to getting that across the finish line. I would love to come on in the next few weeks. Maybe I'll have some more some insight for you, but this is something that has needed to happen for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I just want to give a shout out to Eric Ponte at LC4. And we have some really, really involved board members that have been a part of this effort. And so Lobby is very excited to have those folks on the front lines, and we'll be there to support it every step of the way. Now,
this isn't going to solve all the problems, though, because while there might be problems structurally and some redundancies and whatnot that need to be fixed, there is still the problem, Mary Beth, of how do we prioritize where the dollars get spent? Because every year, we see legislative battles that get very territorial.
Right. No, and I think that's every single year, Brian, you're right. It's in the 11th hour. It's, okay, well, my district needs X project and whatever it may be. But I think a part of this legislative package is figuring out how to accurately prioritize projects. Because like I said, we have a $19 billion backlog in projects that are already on the books, plus mega projects that are just waiting to start construction. And so I think that is going to be, we just have to figure out, and the department has to figure out how to accurately prioritize these projects and also bring in the private sector. I mean, if there's struggles on a certain project, why are we waiting, and I think this is a theme we're seeing nationally as well, but it's like, why wait for DOTD when we could have the private sector ready to go to get some of this stuff done? So I think that's going to be a big part of the package. And, we'll see how it goes. But I'm very confident that Chairman Boriak and Chairman Connick they've been working really hard on this. And so I think, more to come. We can preview it at on another day. But
no, absolutely.
I think it'll be good.
And of course, I'm asking a question about territoriality while in the back of my mind, I have a very territorial end to that question. And that's a new Mississippi River Bridge. So yes, that was totally a loaded question. We got
No, that's okay. I live for loaded questions.
We got Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson with us from LABI. I also want to talk about part of LABI's platform coming up in the next session, and that's the business case for early childhood education investment, because I know this is your wheelhouse.
Definitely. And so last week I was actually honored to attend a conference by the U.S. Chamber that invited all of the southern states, and you had a mixture of providers, of local chambers, of other folks. And it was just to get everyone in a room and talk about best practices, what states are doing that work. We had a great speaker from the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, who they had a huge early childhood package a couple years ago. And, reframing the narrative of early childhood as a workforce issue. And it's, Brian, it was great because we got to hear all of these different things and things that we might be able to implement in Louisiana. But at the same time, it was a little depressing because it's like how far ahead a lot of these states are and in their messaging and saying, this is a workforce issue. It's not just a childcare issue. It's not just making sure our kids are ready for kindergarten, which obviously is extremely important. But in a lot of these states that we're competing with, so the North Carolinas, the Georgias, the Floridas, they have business involved, they have state legislature involved, and everyone's on the same page when it comes to this critical issue. And so that's the bad news. But the good news is we came back with a lot of great ideas. And I think a lot of that, of course, funding is a huge piece, but also how can we get the community and business involved in their local communities? Because they're the ones that know their workforce needs, but they also know their community best. So I think you can see, I'm not sure this legislative session, what will be coming down the pike, but you can keep an eye out for some work that the Lobby Foundation has on deck in this space that we're really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
But as well as I do, Brian, we have historic economic investment coming to our state, but we don't necessarily have the workforce to support it. And so as the chamber, we're trying to do everything we can to make sure working parents are able to go to work and fill some of these jobs.
The hard part here, Mary Beth, and I know you and I have talked about this before, is that balance between the value of early childhood education from an educational perspective, but when it's turned to be pitched from a business investment perspective, it's not just daycare, but it's daycare, but it's not. Like that walking that balance in between of it's valuable for the child, but it's also valuable to free up the parent. How do we approach that and maintain the perceived value of the overall investment?
Absolutely. Well, so the Early Childhood Commission, which is within the Department of Education, has done a lot of work on this issue and how do we frame this as a workforce development issue. Mm-hmm. I think correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. I know we've talked about this on your show before, but the state loses about $13 billion every year in workforce retention loss, and I guess that's the right word. But they have done a lot of great work exposing a lot of these statistics and how, while obviously it's incredibly important that our kids are ready to learn day one in kindergarten, but mm-hmm. we also have to have a pathway for a single mom can't go to work if she doesn't have reliable and quality childcare for her child.
Right.
And so I think it's, we don't want to, at age 5, when our kids go to kindergarten is not whenever their brain development starts. It starts when they're born. And so investing in that key time in their life between 0 to 4. And so, we're trying to get creative on ways that we can message that to the legislature and business owners, because this isn't going to happen without the support of the business community.
How do we do that? Because I get it. When you explain it to me, I get it. How do we make it that translatable throughout that building across downtown from here?
Well, I think a lot of it is getting, key stakeholders and business leaders and legislators into these childcare centers to see the work that's being done. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to take a lot of outreach, a lot of getting folks out into their community, because some of the legislators and business leaders don't know what a micro center is, or they don't know that there's tax credits on the books already to incentivize them to invest in their employees' childcare. So I think as the chamber, we definitely have a role to play in that. And, we're hoping to put on an early childhood event later this session, but just to bring awareness to this issue. And I also think there's a key component to, we always like to talk about folks leaving our state and we're losing population and the states that are doing better than us. They're doing better than us for a reason. Why don't we bring those folks down to and hear about the work that they're doing in their state and how it could be done in Louisiana? Because I think, like you said earlier, Brian, people's ears perk up whenever you talk about business investment and losing economic development opportunities and so on.
Yeah.
So I think it's just reframing the narrative and taking back the, this isn't daycare. This is valuable education and socialization time for young children. On the flip side, it also allows parents to get back into the workforce.
In the meanwhile, the countdown is on. We've got 1 week until, and then throughout that week, I know LABI is going to be drinking water from a fire hose. So I appreciate you carving out a couple minutes.
Yes. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll talk to you next week. She's Mary Beth Hughes Derrickson from LABI. Quick break. Here's your money now. All right. Today's the 7th. Okay. Why not? 756 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, moving right along. We're gonna have to move fast here because we need to squeeze in this day in history, but I also need to remind you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. FlyBTR.com. Direct flight, daily direct flight to our nation's capital. Leaves BTR, lands at Reagan National. It leaves actually in this hour, in the 7 o'clock hour, and then returns in the evening. So you can get your business done same day in our nation's capital. Be home to sleep in your own bed at night, and it's courtesy of the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Check them out at flybtr.com. All right, this day in history, let's roll. All right, John, give it to me. What happened?
Speed through this. 1805, Lewis and Clark begin their expedition to the Pacific Ocean today. They began today.
Yeah, they decided manifest destiny. We're going.
Yeah,
we're rolling out.
That's it.
The ultimate road trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
1927, first long distance television transmission. An image of Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover is sent from Washington, D.C. to New York by AT&T.
That's what was on first?
That's it.
Yeah. All right. On television.
Yeah.
The first television transmission.
Yep.
It was followed by The Simpsons.
1944, during World War II, General Montgomery speaks to generals at St. Paul's School about his vision for the upcoming D-Day landings. So there's that.
Wait, where?
St. Paul's School?
Not St. Paul's School.
It definitely says I'm sure it's not the only St. Paul's School
come on.
in Baton Rouge.
No, he's not. No, in Covington.
Sorry.
No. I don't think that's the same one. They would have had a picture up on campus somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah. 1948, the World Health Organization is formed by the United Nations. How's that for a medical Monday, huh?
Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
No, not enough time to Abbott Costello that one.
No. You know what? I'm gonna skip a few here. 1978, U.S. President Jimmy Carter defers production of a neutron bomb.
Okay.
Let's see. 2003, Saddam Hussein regime falls after 2 days after the U.S. troops capture Baghdad.
Okay.
I don't know if you were a fan of this show, Brian, but 2024, Larry David's comedy TV show Curb Your Enthusiasm ends after 12 seasons.
In and out. I'm not a huge fan.
You weren't?
No, because it's the same uncomfortable comedy all the time. Like, I know most people are just huge on it. All right, what you got? Birthdays?
Yep. You might appreciate this. Francis Ford Coppola, director of The Godfather, his birthday today.
Yeah.
Actor Russell Crowe and Jackie Chan as well.
All right. Add to that Tiki and Rondé Barber. It's their birthday. And one more from the world of sports, Buster Douglas.
Nice.
All right. We're straight up out of time.
Yeah.
This day in history brought to you by 5 Star Printing and Signs. Here comes news.
Whew.
Yeah.
World Health Day today, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
World Health Day.
And Henry Ford died on this day.
He did. And you were saying something the other day about P.T. Barnum. It seems he's mentioned on birthdays and deaths a lot. I don't know. Today, apparently, he passed away, but I feel like we talk about P.T. Barnum a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he's always in. It's always on the list of like something.
Oh, it's St. Francis Xavier was born on this day. And I think when we have time, when you do national days, I'm going to start doing this. I'll do it because I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
I don't want to sign up for this. It won't let me on without signing up for the email list. No, forget that.
Dude, that's
I
not
want to
very
do
cash money,
feast days.
Yeah.
Catholic feast days. Nope.
Yeah, I don't see many other. Hey, John Oates from Hall & Oates' birthday is today.
Can't believe we missed him.
Son of
So today's the feast day of St. John the Baptist de La Salle.
a nice.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Why did this make it back over here? I had it nestled in the corner where it was in nobody's way.
That I don't know.
All right.
Seems kind of odd.
Kim, come on in. You're up next.
Hi, Miss Kim. How you doing?
So is
no need to be nervous.
is Lori gonna be on with us or okay?
This is Candy. She's my son's liver recipient.
Okay.
So he's on the
Yeah, go ahead and write her number down.
Yeah.
You'll call her during the segment.
No problem.
And I don't have extra headphones, so I don't know how y'all are gonna hear her. So maybe for that part, I'll just talk with her. And
Oh, that's fine.
okay.
She's good.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like me to do?
Right there. Sit right there. This is your microphone. And we're gonna be good to go. I'm moving over to okay. How long do I have? You got about 2 minutes. Okay. We're gonna see if she's at the door. And we're gonna bring that over where we can-
Lori Steele. Yes. Good. The newspaper, the magazine, the TV, the radio. Okay. Well, you should have talked to me like yesterday. So, will they call in and ask a question, or we just talk, or I just talk? Okay.
Brian has all the information he needs, so he'll just probably ask you a few questions and things. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Come on in here, late bird. No.
Good morning.
No.
Good morning. Good morning.
Are
Good
you
morning.
on air with us?
Yeah.
Well,
For the beginning,
Her
that way you can
recipient's
introduce.
calling in, so I don't know how we
Is
set
she
that up.
calling in or John's calling her? John's got her
John-
number.
You
So.
already set it up.
Yeah,
So I
I
don't need to
don't
be a
have
part of
extra headsets though.
Yeah, I don't need to be.
So
I don't need to be in it.
okay.
Yep. Do you think?
I don't know where.
So
to
April
start.
is National Organ Donor Awareness Month.
Yes.
We're spreading the word. We use our volunteers and their stories. She can tell you about her baby. And all the
Oh wait, I do have an extra set.
Good morning. How you doing?
This segment just got a lot better. I did not realize these were still here. I thought they had
Oh,
been.
sweet.
Yeah, I thought they grew legs and walked out.
Yeah, I had that.
Uh huh. Cheese them. (806) Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. We are guest heavy in the third hour. We did move this day in history up to the second hour. It's not often we do that, but sometimes we get permission from our guy Danny over at 5 Star Printing and Signs. And today was one day that he certainly signed off on it, because we have Miss Kim Neal in the studio with us. All right. April is National Organ Donation Awareness Month. So we're just talking about some of the real life stories that have revolved around this. Kim is a donor's mom and, of course, a LOPA volunteer. Welcome. How are you?
I'm blessed. And how are you today?
I'm doing very well. We'll get you right up on there. We're here to talk about your son, David. And I want you to tell him, because we're going to talk with the recipient before we're done, but I want you to tell me David's story.
Well, David was 31, and unfortunately, January the 19th of 2019, he was shot. And he spent several days in the hospital at the Lady Lake Hospital. And on January the 22nd, he passed away from his injury. Well, David has always been an organ donor. So LOPA came in and they asked me if I wanted to donate his organs. And at that point, I said yes. But he was also, he was a cheerful, a funny, my only child. We did everything together. He was literally my Beatitudes child. And through his selfless act, he donated his heart, his liver, his kidneys. And through there, I have a larger family.
Oh, that is amazing selflessness. Amazing selflessness on his part, on your part as well. And the mentality that you have walking into it, that you have larger family now.
Yes.
That's, expound upon that.
Well, as I said before, David is my only child. And at the beginning, it was extremely hard to lose my only child. We did everything together, and we were each other's support. On January the 24th of 2019 is when all of the recipients received their organs. I found this out later, and God blessed me, because one of the recipients, his name is David.
Oh, wow.
And another recipient, her name is Susan. Her maiden name is Neal. So I felt that was God's way of keeping my child with me.
Yeah.
The other two, well, David and Susan received his kidneys. And then there's Candy. Candy received his liver. And Edward received his heart. And they both have his personality. So the way I look at it is that God blessed me to still have my child.
Amazing stuff. We actually have Candy Jenkins on the line. She's from Bossier City. Candy, welcome to Talk 107.3 FM. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Doing very well on this end as well. Of course, we've got Miss Kim in with us, and we are talking just about Organ Donation Awareness Month. And I want, from your end of the story, share your end of the story about receiving David's liver.
Well, I was in the hospital since October, and my liver function was at 11%. So I could not go home, and it's due to liver autoimmune. So I was taken off the list 3 times, and finally I got the call in January saying that there was a donor. And it was, it's bittersweet sitting there waiting, knowing that your life is, in limbo, and somebody else has to lose their life for you to keep yours. So it was very bittersweet.
Walk me through that process of just mentally and emotionally what you go through. You said back to October, so you're talking a good stretch of at least 4 months here of just waiting. How do you how do you keep hope up? How do you keep, how do you keep the fight up along that path?
It was a battle because I knew someone had to lose their life for me to keep mine. So you're going back and forth with emotions. And, there were days that I just wanted to give up, because I guess the grief of knowing that, someone has to go for me to stay here, it was overbearing some days. So you have to just constantly, just try to remain positive throughout the whole, season, but it's hard.
I would imagine so. I mean,
After.
yeah, I would absolutely imagine so. We're talking with Candy Jenkins. She's the recipient of David Neal's liver. And this is National Organ Donation Awareness Month. Let's talk for just a minute about your thoughts on Miss Kim, your thoughts on David John Neal. After having received his liver, you've obviously met Miss Kim. So talk to me a little bit about your perceptions of them, being on your end of this donation.
Well, she reached out through a letter. That's how the family's contact after the procedure. I was actually scared to, contact her because in fear of rejection. But when I received her letter saying that she wanted to communicate with me, I was overjoyed with it. And she's such a blessing. She's a sweetheart. And, she reminds me so much of my grandmother, not my grandmother, but, she's a teacher. My grandmother was in education as well. So it's a lot of similarities, that helps us bond throughout this as well.
And I would imagine a donation like this would just completely ramp up that relationship. I mean, it accelerates a relationship. I mean, Miss Kim in the opening here just referred to you as family. I assume that's reciprocated.
Yes.
The before we get you out of here, and I greatly appreciate you hopping on for just a quick minute. If you have a message for those who are considering putting that little heart on a driver's license, if you have a message for those who are considering becoming a donor, what would that message be?
Research. Do not believe everything that is put out there about transplant. It's a very tedious process, and I feel like the rumors overshadow a great, program. And I think people should do, extensive research to, get better knowledge about transplant. And it's very beneficial because you never know, what may happen to you or your loved one.
Last one before we get you out of here, and that's just talk to me for just a quick second about your relationship with Miss Kim at this point, moving forward. I mean, this is not just a one-off, where you say, thank you, but this is a relationship you're keeping for the rest of your life.
Right.
Talk about that for just a second. Y'all get together? I mean, do you make it into town? Does she come up to see you?
We text every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And, if we haven't gotten together physically, I think she's gotten with Edward and David. But I haven't made it down there, to no Point Coupee yet. But we communicate every day. We talk on the phone. We, just exchange pleasantries, just any kind of way we can until we, physically meet.
Love it. Absolutely love it. She is Candy Jenkins from Bossier City. Thank you so much for hopping on the hotline for a couple minutes this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Kim, follow up on that. That's just hearing her voice, hearing her this morning. I mean, if y'all, trade texts and whatnot throughout the day, just hearing her, the life within her, how does that make you feel?
It is really wonderful because with Candy, I know that, and really with all of the recipients, that I can call them or text them, and sometimes we can stay on the phone for a very long time. If I have things that I have questions about, I'll reach out to her. She will reach out to me. Edward, he has David's heart. Right now, they are cruising, And we do travel together. We've been to Atlantic City. We've been to the Bahamas together. And he calls me mom. And he knows that he knows the weather is bad here before I know it, because he will text me or call me. Uh, Susan, sometimes first thing in the morning, I'll get a text from her, like Happy St. Patrick's Day or something like that, as well as David. I love him dearly. Him and his wife prays for me and my son every day. And I could not have um, asked for a better set of persons in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this was God's way of doing everything for me, and it does not take away my grief of losing my son.
Right.
But to me, it makes it a little bit better.
I got to go back up to the top of the page, and we'll talk about organ donation in just a second. But I got to go back to the top of the page. Did you know that your son was a donor before he was shot?
Yes.
Okay.
I've always been a donor.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been helping people, firefighter, EMT, in the school system, and he has always been there with me. And as she mentioned about having a conversation, doing your research, David and I would joke around about when either one of us would pass away, what the other one would get. And, and it was so funny because I'm telling you, boy, he would bite his toenails even at 31. And I was like, oh, get them things out of your mouth. And when they came in and asked, he was laying up there and they said, what would you like to donate? And I looked straight at those toes and I said, no, boy, you're not giving me those toenails. So he was helping people. And I really do feel it would have been more selfish for me to say no.
Right.
So in order at that time, it was hard to let him go, but to donate his organs and to these persons that really needed them, I didn't know them,
Right.
but I know them now.
Absolutely. And it's the way to, it's the ultimate paid forward, really.
Yes.
Absolutely. You heard the message from Candy, and I'm assuming the message is the same for you, Miss Kim, and that's do your research. And to do your research, hop on lopa.org, LOPA.org. It is Organ Donation Awareness Month. Your closing thoughts before we get you out of here, Miss Kim, or what?
My closing thought is that, if you have questions, of course, do your research. If you are a praying person, then pray and ask God. But most of all, have a conversation with your family, because you can say that you're an organ donor and they may not know. And something can happen. And then after the fact, then they may find out that you were, and it's too late. So have a conversation, let them know specifically what you would like donated, because you can donate your whole body to science, or your cornea, your heart, everything, but be specific.
Absolutely. Organ, tissue, eye donation. All of these are possibilities. The website is lopa.org, lopa.org. Miss Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We are running long. Moon Griffon's up next. That was fantastic. You did wonderfully. Wonderfully.
Oh my God.
Let's show this off real quick to the Facebook audience. And grab a quick picture. So, we had that off camera the whole time. We probably should have had it front and center. So, all right. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. So very much.
Thank you.
Anything
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I was so nervous.
You didn't show it. You did not show it. It's all good. And don't forget your jacket.
Oh yeah.
So I screwed up on the date. I didn't have that on my calendar. Are y'all down for what did we agree on?
So this was it, and then I said if you have we have some LSU kiddos that are like a PR group,
Yes.
and they're doing a softball game and stuff on campus.
When is that?
So the 22nd is when they're.
We'll get them in.
Okay.
We'll get them in. It'll happen. Yeah.
An opportunity.
Because
to
let
learn
that first wave of the legislative session, because it's everything gets introduced and then it's like this hurry up and wait while it's going through committee and
Yeah.
So let's get that wave out of the way and then we're good to go.
This was our shining moment.
and a shining star in that shining moment. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good one. See, the good news is Moon has no idea what he's following right now. So we're just going to start clean and dive right in. You catch him every weekday, 9 to 11, right here on Talk 107.3 FM. He is Moon Griffon. How are you, brother?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Maybe I don't want to know what I'm following.
So it's Organ Donation Awareness Month, and we had Miss Kim Neal in studio just a moment ago, and her son, who died a few years ago, was a donor of a heart, liver, and his kidneys. And oh, I know. But you know what? Through that, life goes on through 4 others because of his generosity and his donation.
Yeah,
so
in tragedy, and it's a shame it's like that, but it's just the way the good Lord built it. It always comes something beautiful.
Yep.
So in their tragedy and their pain, they looked at their kid provided life to 4 other people. I mean, the Bible even talks about no greater love than you lay your life down for somebody.
Right.
Since he was gone, they did this, and you helped 4 people. I mean, I know they're proud of that. They got it.
Yeah, and the relationships built from it and the life that springs from it is it's unbelievable. That's why I love supporting it. That's why I love sharing the airtime and sending people over to lopa.org to sign up. All right, we got 1 week to go until the legislative session opens, so let's hit reset and figure out what we're looking at here. Moon, how many bills have you dug in on already? Because I know you're a total nerd like me, right? We dive in and we read pre-filed legislation. So what are you looking at?
My big focus has been kind of single this year, Brian, because I'm really looking at what they're going to do with insurance. After the revelation we broke last week of the hunting trip, and now the media is starting to grab hold with the governor and Cameron Henry and Phil DeVilliers with Gordon McConnell and Digger Earls. I just don't think we're going to pass anything of subsequence to change our insurance. I really don't. I've lost a lot of hope with that just because of the media. It's going to be a watered down version of nothing. And people, the biggest issue is insurance. And I've been off the phone. They do a private meeting at a hunting club in Texas. Okay. Tyler Bridges did a story on it. And I kind of read it and I laughed at the whole thing because where was Tim Temple? Why wasn't Tim Temple in there?
Well, that's a good question.
Gordon, I know this for a fact. I just got off the phone before we got to talking to you. I know for a fact Gordon McConnell, John Condos, and Digger Earl have been invited repeatedly to come to the legislature and get in front of these guys so they can question them, and they will not show up. But they will go to a turkey hunt with the governor and the speaker and the Senate president talking behind the scenes. But they won't come out where everybody can see what they're really doing. So that really frustrates me because that just tells me that we got a long way to go and we're not going to change insurance. It's very frustrating. So that's been my total focus. I'm probably wrong about that right now, but that's where I've been focused.
So I'm there with you. And the thing of it is, Moon, is how many bills have been filed that weren't privy to this meeting, right? How many bills have been filed, like Representative Glorioso's bill, which I think sounds awesome, but has no teeth. And we'll dive into that as the session wears on.
Can I tell you about that one, Brian?
Go for it.
That's the one they felt pretty good about. That's gone. That's history.
It's gone?
And they lost it at the hunting lodge. That's what I was talking about. Several people. They threw that out immediately at the hunting lodge.
See, and I referenced that bill in particular because I felt like that one would, if you're having a meeting in a hunting lodge, that one's the one that's going to get the most pushback. So that is sad to hear right there. That being said, though, look, you and I have both said it in the past. When do we give the trial attorneys their go at lowering car insurance and say, you know what, y'all take the ball and run. Y'all fix this. Could it be that a meeting like this is part of that equation?
No, I think the meeting needs to be in public.
Yeah.
Listen, Louisiana, we're known for these meetings not in public.
Right.
And then we find out what everybody wants and it's too late. I just can't understand how power lawyers who have made a killing in the state, who behind the scenes, because of all the money they get and how much money they've made, behind the scenes gets in every Supreme Court race. They get in every judge's race. They get in all the legislature. They can't man up instead of just getting on these TV commercials and man up and go to the legislature and let's hear the answer in deal where you and me can listen to what they got to say. I'm tired of the backroom deals. That's all I've seen. So I've been covering this for almost 32 years. And so that's all I'm saying, Brian. Let's get it out. You know yourself. You interviewed more people than I interviewed. You probably interview more people than I interview. Okay? I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to a lot of people behind the scenes. Insurance and what people are having to pay is the number one issue. People are upset about this. They can't even afford it anymore. And we're going to let another session go by. And the guys that keep beating back the good bills don't ever come publicly, don't ever man up, so to speak. They just get to go run commercials on TV. These emotional commercials on how if you get hurt, we can help you. That's all. That's what I'm asking.
No, and well, so at the root of that problem is something that you can't handle legislatively, and that's the jackpot justice mentality that the populace has. That no matter what deals can be, negotiated in the halls of the state capitol, as long as people are willing or looking to cash a check based off of their own car accident, we're all going to pay out the wazoo from it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot to go into it, but Brian, I think the House, but I'm hearing the VAs wobble knees now. The House ought to pass all the tough bills and send them over to the Senate. They're going to be killed, let them kill it. They're going to water them down, let them water down. Just never agree. Why have a watered down version of nothing? Well, so people can go out and brag about something that's not happening and people don't feel it in their pocketbooks. Well, I'm talking about for Louisiana. I don't care if you're black or white or Democrat or Republican, voted for Landry or didn't. This got to be something we stand up together. And I'm telling you, I'm already disgusted about what I'm hearing.
So last year, both sides of the legislature did their job. And speaking specifically about that collateral source bill, it got passed. And not only did it get passed, it got passed within one vote of being veto proof, and then it got vetoed.
Mm-hmm.
So does it feel like, because I know to me it feels like, does it feel like to you that the conversations actually move backwards, not forwards?
I don't think it's moved at all.
Oh.
I just think we're stuck. I call it stuck on stupid. The trial lawyers that I mentioned by name, throwing them under the bus, I'm being blunt, those guys ought to have to come to the table where we can watch the proceedings happen. And let's see what their answers are. Because I'll go back to what you just said earlier, and we've been talking about it. Let the trial lawyers come to the table and say, here it is, boys. Tell us what y'all want to do. We're going to do exactly what y'all want. We're going to bomb the insurance companies that y'all bomb on TV every night in advertising.
Right.
And we're going to do what y'all say to do, and we want to see the rates go down. Because if it's the insurance's fault, I just think they would be piling in here because they could make so much money in the state of Louisiana. And, Brian, that's not the fact. I wish you would come over here in Lafayette and drive down River Ranch. Every new building over here is being built by trial lawyers. Every single one of them.
Which, yeah, it's that, and the follow-up, the how to crack into that is just where we are completely at an impasse. In the meanwhile, legislative session starts off on Monday. We ready to roll here? We're broadcasting from the Capitol.
I got to get that confirmed. I was supposed to go to the mansion. The governor asked me to go to the mansion on his insurance thing, but I'm not going to go. I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it back to Monday where me and you can go do our thing. I will let you know that later today. All I got to do is finish getting the room confirmed for the time we need.
Yep.
And I think we'll both be at the legislative session when it cranks up on Monday.
Yep. We'll do.
Feel good about it. I just got to make one more phone call. We're good to go.
He is Moon Griffon. Looking forward to it. We'll see you next Monday, brother.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you. It's 8:30. Here comes news on Talk 107.3 FM. All right. I'm so far behind on everything. Yeah. Come on in. I need to steal 60 seconds from you on the front end. Okay. I apologize. That's from Flynn, by the way. He left it in here on Friday and said, make sure she gets that. Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's the same right there. Okay. Yeah. Whoop. What's that? Oh. All right. Oh, it takes it back to okay. Can do. My daughters put them on their Stanley. They're I'm like, but now I can't put it in the dishwasher. Sorry. Dad it up right there. That's okay. Nice. Really? All right, we're tabling all this and we're talking about that. I would like to know awkward teenage Flynn. That's so. Hang on. We're always on Facebook Live. No, I'm not sure she's not gonna. Okay.
There was an LSU game
Okay.
during the homecoming dance, and so Flynn's mother drove us,
Mhm.
me and Flynn and a couple of other couples, to Germanicos. I sat in the front seat between Flynn and his mother, and he had an earpiece listening to the LSU football game the whole time, the whole date.
Sounds right. That's
At
on brand.
dinner and at the yeah.
That is on brand.
Mhm.
Okay.
So he has always been this way.
Okay.
Mhm.
That is very much on brand for him.
Yes.
The what was the name of the restaurant?
Germanicos, right over here.
Does not exist
I
anymore.
know it burned
Okay.
down,
Yeah.
but it was a classic.
Okay.
I loved it. That was where you went.
Yeah. Is that where the Oh, it's like a mixed use. They've got apartments above it. Yeah. I forget the name of the building.
Yeah.
I know it's where Bistro Byron's was
Yes.
or is. Yeah, it's the evolution of Government Street mixed into that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Oh. Another app. All right, we're looking at about another hour or so of maybe some light showers throughout the area, about a 33% chance of that over the course of the next hour. Then it clears on out. And yes, it is cooler to start the morning. Yes, it's going to stay cooler throughout the day today. High of only 60 degrees. Tonight, overnight, we're going to get all the way down to 40. So when it comes to shutting off that heater, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Tomorrow's high 73, Wednesday's high 78, Thursday, Friday, we will be back in the 80s as we move back in towards back towards those springtime temperatures. Outside of the light showers that are going to be around the area this morning, I'm not showing any other chance of rain for the remainder of the week. Right now, we're cloudy and 54 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. .836 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. Got to tell you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. Who are they? They are a community bank. They've been a community bank for over 100 years now. Founded, I believe, in 1897 as a community bank and have remained true to their mission the entire time. Where are you going to find Landmark Community Bank? Landmark Bank. Well, start online at landmarkbankla.com. You can pull up where the branch locations are from there. I tell you, they got 2 in Zachary. They're in Clinton. They're in Greensburg. They're in Denham. They're over on the other side of the river in Bruley. That's not a comprehensive list. Go to the website, landmarkbankla.com, for that comprehensive list. And the reason you want a community bank, because you want a banker, not just a bank, a banker. That person who, when you walk through the door and shake hands, they know what your dreams and aspirations are. When it comes to, I'm trying to buy a home, they're going to help you there. When it comes to, I'm jumping out of the corporate rat race and getting into my own entrepreneurial endeavor, they're going to help you there. Starting a business, growing a business, buying your first home, buying your dream home, scaling down later on. They've got you covered at landmarkbankla.com. All right, time to get heavy again. We have got Betsy Thibaut Stephenson in studio with us. She is the author of Blackbird, A Mother's Reflections on Grief, Loss, and Life After Suicide. Betsy, welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you in here. It's a heavy conversation to have, but let's talk about it. Grief, loss, and life after suicide. What made you write Blackbird?
So in 2022, in the span of 6 weeks, we lost our 21-year-old son to suicide, my husband's mother to dementia, and our family dog.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a lot, obviously, and it felt like everything was so dark and so heavy, and yet this is the human experience. People die. We all lose people.
Yeah.
And so focusing on grief and my grief journey and how I would, you feel terrible for a very long time, but you also know you can't feel like this forever because that's not living.
Right.
So I did a lot of writing to myself and sharing with friends. And we had on the suicide part, a lot of people don't talk about suicide.
No.
A lot of people left behind, it's so hard. It's still hard for me to believe that it happened. But we decided to be very open about cause of death. And what we found is that ultimately helped us because it was one less thing for us to worry about, like trying to be secretive or a little, kind of hidden about this was the most major thing, is the most major thing in our entire life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have the extra burden of wondering, what do they know or how much do they know? And what we found was it helped people take care of us. It helped make it easier for people to have conversations with us about how we were doing and how we were moving through grief and how much we missed our son, Charlie. And it made it easier for them to bring up his name in conversation. And that has been good for us. And so it kind of came together into a book.
I'm doing my best in my mind to try and compartmentalize this conversation because you're talking about three different deaths, three very, very different
Yes.
deaths, not just three that
Yes.
happened. When going through the process of trying to get on top of your grief, I'm not saying get over because that's not going to happen, but get on top of your grief. How important is compartmentalization here? Because that 6 weeks, three very different deaths, but like every one of them taking an emotional toll within. Is compartmentalization a part of this process?
I think it's natural and it's necessary for survival to say there's certain times that, you just kind of block off and you're just focused on, whatever's in front of you. I will tell you, one of the things that we had to deal with was, my mother-in-law had been sick for a while. She had dementia.
Yeah.
And so, she was declining and then our son died. So in a way, we had been preparing for her death for so long. And, it's grueling. A lot of people go through it, you're constantly getting the call from the memory care but she was in her 80s. And then we have this vibrant, we thought healthy, top of the world 21-year-old. And the contrasts between the two, one, Charlie, suicide's violent.
Yes.
Paula, my mother-in-law, it was long, but she faded away. That messes with you.
No, it does. But it also, I could see a scenario where the dementia's taking an emotional toll and wearing you down on that front. And then you have to walk the path of Charlie's suicide. And then you say, I can't deal with dementia right now. I have to focus on this. So how are you being fair?
Yeah.
I'm seeing that emotional battle right now.
Yes. No, we had and still have a lot of guilt because we were in the throes. Paula died a few days after Charlie's funeral.
Okay.
So we were saturated, absolutely saturated with sadness and disbelief. And, grief really wrecks your brain. You can't think, you can't speak clearly. And it felt bad because here's this person who's been so important to us, who's lived a good life. You want to honor the people that you lose. You want to cherish them as they move away from us. And we were just like, piles of jello. We were not able to be there. And so that has taken a while. And then the dog was just the icing on the cake. It was like, okay, well, of course our dog died,
And I'm just getting, how old was the dog?
10.
Okay.
And she had cancer, but we thought she was okay. And, when you know it, the dang dog collapsed in front of Charlie's bedroom door.
Right.
And that was it. And we were like, of course.
Yeah, at that point you're tapped out.
And then the house is really quiet.
I would imagine so. And I would also, and I'm making assumptions here, but based off of Charlie's age and the dog age, that was Charlie's dog.
That was Charlie's dog.
Yeah.
That was Charlie's dog. And, there is something beautiful about that, about them being together. We know how important pets are to us.
Oh, yes.
But it was really hard on us because we needed that companionship.
Yeah.
So of course we got a puppy. But
let's and I want to get into the title and everything else in a little bit, but I do want to ask you about with all this coming down at one time, how tough is it to give yourself grace?
Well, that's a good question because it's like I felt so bad and was so overwhelmed. And yet that was the only way I could be. I couldn't be anything but sad and stunned. And in a way that was a gift because I knew that was my job at that point. And it for a good year and a half, I need to learn how to reshape my life. I need to learn how to heal. I need to learn how to bring these losses into my new reality. They're not going away, but I need to learn to carry them. So I didn't fight it. I didn't hide. I didn't, we were open about what was going on with us. And that helped me because I didn't have to be any other way.
Right.
Right.
Breaking out of that any other way, though. I mean, you do return to the full spectrum of life, though.
Yes. And it was a very step-by-step process. And I talk about it in the book. I have a great group of friends in Alexandria and also many of my friends here in Baton Rouge that I've known since childhood. I went to high school with and grade school with. And they were tremendous. I could not have gotten through without them. But very slowly, I had a lot of trouble leaving the house. And I had some Sherpas that helped make sure that if I needed to do something or if I was a little too stuck in the sanctuary, they would be by my side. And that helped a lot. But I took it very slowly.
You're wearing like 1,000 rubber bracelets right now. You talk about those Sherpas. You talk about that network. It's a club that nobody wants to be in, but once you're there, you can lean on each other. And I can't help but notice that one of them says rain will bring flowers. That's Owen Tabor. We've had his dad on the show before.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that club that nobody wants to be in.
Yeah. Losing a child is, it's as bad. It's worse than you think it's going to be. And I've got these rubber wristbands on my wrist that I always wear. There's several for Charlie. He was in school in Texas and he was in a fraternity, and his fraternity brothers made these rubber wristbands, and they say, check on your friends. Yeah. And they pass them out at his funeral, and it's taken off. It's totally organic. People just say, hey, can I have a wristband? And there are thousands of them all over the world. And people come together. They run into each other on airplanes or on vacation. And they say, I see your wristband. And they connect over Charlie.
We got about 2 minutes left, and we haven't even talked about the book yet. Tell me about Blackbird.
So I wrote Blackbird in the present tense. A lot of memoirs, you are looking back over time. You're reflecting on what you have learned, and the perspective you gain over time, which is really important because that's what life is about.
Sure.
But when I was in the throes of it, I did not have the attention span. I was very distracted. I was desperate to read and understand what I was going through as a griever. And so I wrote this book in the present tense about what I was experiencing. And I wrote it in small pockets, in short entries, so you could put it down and pick it up because it's heavy. But I didn't want people to have to get lost in a long story, but they could just see kind of step by step what I was going through.
Overwhelming importance to talk about suicide. Like we got about a minute and a half left. Let's talk about why it's so important.
Suicide is very mysterious. And that mystery has power. And I think if we want to help people who are struggling, we need to take the mystery out of it. It happens. It happens to people of all ages. As a parent, I have learned that, people between the ages of 18 and 25 are more likely to die from suicide than cancer. So it's real and it's out there. And there's things that we can do to help encourage conversation and encourage people to get help if they need it, because it can make a huge difference.
The book is called Blackbird, A Mother's Reflections on Grief, Loss, and Life After Suicide. Betsy Thibaut Stephenson is the author. Where can folks find it?
Anywhere books are sold.
Okay.
You can go to Barnes and Noble or a local bookshop. You can also buy it online at Amazon or bookshop.org.
Thank you so much for a couple minutes. Thank you for opening up. I greatly appreciate it. 850 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We've got one segment to go. We're going to take a quick break here. On the back end of that break, there will be a traffic check. And then when we come back, I know we're supposed to get to the outside in, but we might talk about something else going on locally. So, all right, let's take that quick break. Coming back next on Talk 107.3.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Is this for me?
That's for you.
Okay, good.
You're one and only.
Yeah, I was telling you about my friend Pat. It's his book is, and I thought I had a copy in studio, but I don't have a copy in studio. So I want to find. I know I have 2 copies somewhere.
Pat Mashburn Jr.
Yeah.
I might know him.
So he was my journalism teacher in high school.
Oh,
He was
no.
largely to blame why I'm here today.
I know another Pat Mashburn.
Okay. So do you remember? Would you follow LSU football still?
Oh yeah.
You remember Jack Nashburn?
I don't know.
Tight end. Was
Okay.
a walk on,
Okay.
and then kind of like tight end Ogeron's last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's his uncle. His Pat.
Okay.
So in St. Tammany Parish, when someone calls 911 to report suicide, he's the first person they send, even before before the coroner's out there. Pat's on the scene, and this is like just breathe. This is the first thing he tells the parents, the relatives, all of that.
Yeah.
Is just breathe, because everything you're going through, like that has to be physically, audibly reminded.
It's.
And then the book goes on from there, and it's phenomenal.
I'll
He's
look
a
for
great
it.
guy.
I'll look for it. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
day.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. Jeff and Mary Beth are our features. Oh.
Another book recommendation. I should have mentioned this to her. It's a book called The Last Thing We Talk About by Joseph Bailey. I don't know. That would have probably went hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. What's up, Bo? Yeah, man. Well, this is the place to do it, man.
Moon was coming to town tomorrow, so he's supposed to, but I didn't think that started until the session. So
He was all cranked up when you were talking to him.
he ain't wrong.
No.
He ain't wrong on this one.
That insurance is so jacked. So I remember, Brian, when my dad was in Louisiana, we went duck hunting at Governor Foster's camp. It was just before. Pretty cool. The whole time there, he was talking about tort reform and insurance. And that was like
Your dad or Governor Foster?
Governor Foster. My dad.
That was
when he got his radio. That was when we started the Governor radio shows and all of that.
Hot Mike or Ask Mike
Whatever
or
it was.
yeah.
But that was one of the things that he railed about 25 years ago, was how bad our insurance was and tort reform, and being able to sue over everything.
So I don't know that you can fix the problem, because the problem isn't with the law as it's written. The problem is with, no matter how you write the law, as long as there's a mentality of I'm get paid. Like, and I don't know how to undo that from a state where stand in line at a convenience store and see how many people in front of you are buying scratchers. Right. Like, jackpot justice is a thing. My neck, my back, my neck and my back.
My back and my neck.
All right. So we'll do.
Right thumbs over.
Yeah. 856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, about to get out of here and hand off to Moon Griffon and the Moon Griffon Show. Got to remind you about the folks over at Cajun Soft Wash. CajunSoftWash.com is the website. Take a look at the walls of your home. Take a look at the walls of your business, and take a look at your roof as well. Cajun Soft Wash is here to help make things prettier and last longer. 100% effective mix that they've got there. It's a 100% effective, safe and effective chemical soft wash that not only kills off the algae, mold, and mildew that you're going to find on the walls of your house, but on the roof as well. And when you're talking about your roof and you're talking about your shingles, that algae, mold, and mildew actually eats away at the shingles and can affect the lifespan of your roof. So hit up CajunSoftWash.com, learn a little bit more about their process and what they do, and then give them a call, set up an appointment. They'll take care of your roof. They'll take care of your building. They'll take care of the sidewalks in front at CajunSoftWash.com. All right, let's do the outside in. Let's go. Starting off in Livingston Parish, the second Rock the Country happened over the weekend. Reviews were mixed at best, with the music getting a big thumbs up, the traffic and the necessary infrastructure leaving folks frustrated. Heading out to East Feliciana Parish, a jury has found 38-year-old DeAndre Galman guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder. Galman was accused in the 2020 killings of Darrell Williams and Tejones Elliott, and the attempted murder of Charles Slack. The jury took just under 2.5 hours to get to their verdict. Closing out in Ascension Parish, courtesy of the advocate, while officials work out a potential agreement between Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System and Prevost Memorial Hospital for a new facility in Donaldsonville, the system is expanding its operations across Ascension. The health system, which operates the Our Lady of the Lake hospitals in the capital region, is bringing multiple new services to the parish, including an infusion center and a clinic for early detection of lung cancer. That is the outside in. We do have enough time. All right. Let me remind you about P.F. Chang's. If you don't have lunch plans yet, you might want to hit up P.F. Chang's. They're in Town Center off Corporate Boulevard. You know how to find them. You find them by looking for the giant golden horse. Fantastic stop off for lunch. All right. Whether you're handling business for lunch or just sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the food, enjoying the service, enjoying the ambiance, P.F. Chang's has got you covered. I am a sesame beef guy. You get that crispy beef that they know how to do so well. Add all the natural flavors and seasonings to it. It's got actual flavor. It's not one of the spicier items on the menu, but definitely one of the more flavorful ones. P.F. Chang's, like I said, in Town Center. Look for the giant golden horse. Closing out with the Zydeco. How about it? The Baton Rouge Zydeco, in just their second year of existence, are heading to the FPHL playoffs to contend for the Commissioner's Cup. Grabbing this from the press release they sent out over the weekend, the Zydeco will take on the Blue Ridge Bobcats in the wild card game on Tuesday, the 15th. Game location will be determined by final rankings and seeding. If the Zydeco clinch the 4th seed, the game will be played at the Raising Cane's River Center in downtown Baton Rouge. However, if the Bobcats secure the 4th seed, then the Zydeco will go up to Virginia to take them on. Either way, Zydeco and Bobcats are going to square off in the wild card round of the playoffs, year 2. And you're getting bonus hockey. Moon's next. All right, I'm supposed to go see Gordy. Let me get this over with. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow.